As well known, in the last 3 decades, there is a difficulty in the refining industry situation due to 3 clear trends. And these trends are continuous increase in the demand for light, cleaner product due to the environmental regulations, and also continuous decline in the demand for heavy fuel oil in contrast to light transportation fuel. Which makes the situation even more difficult is the continuous decline in crude oil quality with higher sulfur content and lower API. This, in fact, has undergone the refining to make continuous change in the refining scheme to get the desired product quality, and therefore now there are multi hydrotreating process used in the refinery to obtain the final product. For example, now there are naphtha, kerosene, diesel hydrotreaters, and more difficult is the residue hydrotreating process, which typically the residue is over 50% diagnostic residue, and this is expected to increase in the future. As a result, we think that an alternative approach to upgrade crude oil is necessary for time being to achieve the desired requirement. We would like to introduce a new approach which could be like a promising approach, but of course it needs a lot of validation. In our approach, it's unlike conventional approach. The entire crude oil is processed in adsorption step, which is designed to selectively remove nitrogen-containing compounds, and then the treated crude oil can then be hydrotreated and finally fractionated into the conventional product. It is well known that nitrogen compounds inhibit hydrodesulfurization, and also HDN catalyst is not affected due to the competition between hydrodesulfurization and hydrogenation. Also, our group has investigated using adsorbent to remove nitrogen from gas oil, and they succeed, in fact, to produce effective product to enhance hydrodesulfurization. The potential advantage of in fact, is reduction of toxic compound can improve desulfurization. Also, hydrogen is a key component in this century, and by using adsorbent at low operating condition and using maybe no hydrogen can significantly enhance the reduction of maybe energy consumption, and also removing treating the entire crude oil can enhance also the diffusion through the catalytic processes, and also may improve mass transfer and reduce coke formation. Therefore, now the objective of the study is to study the adsorptive capacity and selectivity of potential adsorbent for the removal of nitrogen-containing compounds using water compound and real crude oil. After that, to select a suitable adsorbent to examine our process. And the third objective is to examine the adsorption pretreatment step on the subsequent hydrotreating process. So we use square-shaped crude, which is a moderate crude oil. Unfortunately, we are expecting now a heavier feedstock with much lower API. So square-shaped crude is well known in the world and has moderate property. For example, API 30 and it has very high sulfur 2.5 and 1200 ppm nitrogen, and with low methane. We use for adsorbent screening 7-phase ammonia and 4-phase carbon. And the property, as you can see, the surface area of aluminum is in the range of 100 to 200 or 300. Acrylic carbon has large surface area. And the pore diameter for acrylic aluminum in the range of 50 to 300, and for acrylic carbon is like 50 angstrom. Both adsorption and HDS experiments were conducted in a batch system. For the adsorption, we used to study the effective temperature and contact time. As you can see, the operating condition, the temperature ranging from 60 to 180, and crude to adsorbent ratio is 10 to 1. Contact time is 2 hours. This is what the effective temperature. And then we found that 120 is the optimum temperature. So we keep the temperature constant, and we vary the time and adsorbent ratio. For this reaction, we use also a batch system, batch reactor, and common catalyst obtained from titanium company, and also the operating condition, as you can see. Sulfur and nitrogen, total sulfur and nitrogen was obtained using anthrax 9000. And individual sulfur species were obtained using GC with defined detector. For the screening experiments, as you can see, we used 100 carbon first, and we found that actually the alumina has low capacity, while acrylic carbon has much higher capacity. Also, we found that acrylic carbon capacity increased significantly when the temperature increased from 60 to 100. So, as a result, we decided to concentrate more with activated carbon. So we used 4 activated carbon, and we eliminated the activated alumina. So we used 4 activated carbon, and we found out that for nitrogen removal, of course, nitrogen is much less than sulfur in the crude oil. So the capacity is comparable to what is there in the crude oil. We found for nitrogen that AC15 has very high capacity for nitrogen removal, and very good also capacity for sulfur. While Maxor, for example, has very high capacity for sulfur and low capacity for nitrogen. And ACBA has very low capacity for both sulfur and nitrogen. So we tend to use. Then we thought about selectivity. How can we compare the selectivity of those acrylic carbons so that we can understand the mechanism of adsorption, active capacity, and selectivity? So we use model fuel because of the difficulty of analyzing the crude oil. In the model fuel, we use not only sulfur and nitrogen, but also aromatic compound with similar structure as sulfur and nitrogen. And also we use same molar concentration so that we can compare the selectivity in the same places. In fact, we had very interesting result for the selectivity. We used the selectivity equation where X and Y are mole fraction of mole fraction on the adsorbed and the liquid phase, and J is the difference component. The selectivity study we obtained, we found out that, in fact, there's very straight relationship between what we obtained in model fuel and what is there in the crude oil. For example, we found that ACS still have the highest capacity for nitrogen, which is an ingredient which is in the bottom for real crude oil. And it has a selectivity, for example, I don't know if you can see it. For example, for polyline, we have selectivity 140 more than naphthalene, for example, naphthalene, which they have very same structure, which indicates that nitrogen play a role for the interaction. And Maxor, for example, we found that it has very high capacity for 4,6 dihydrogenase, and it has moderate selectivity for nitrogen. Again, also for ACPA, it has very poor capacity and selectivity even for water fuel, which is also in agreement with what we found in real fuel. So what is when we do the meta-analysis for desactivated carbon, we found an interesting result that oxygen content in activated carbon is playing a role to selectively remove sulfur and nitrogen. We found out that ACS has almost 12 and Masoud has almost 13 weight percent. And ACBA has the lowest oxygen content in the activated carbon. It is clearly indicated that oxygen functional group play a role.
The next speak is from is Francisco Lopez
Linares.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's it.
Yeah. His topic is study of organonitrogen compounds, adsorption kinetics of macroporous natural silicon alumina. Please.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. It's a challenge to keep everybody awake, but after enjoy a beautiful session this morning, let's continue to talk about adsorption. And today, I'm going to share with you some results that we are getting so far in our group, a catalysis for bitumen grading and hydrogen production laboratory, regarding to the study of the organonitrogen compound, adsorption kinetics macroporous natural silicon alumina. This work has been performed by Clementina Souza, Manuel Gonzalez, that's here, and Pedro Pereira and myself. During the following minutes, I'm going to talk briefly about adsorption, and my presentation is going to be covered a brief introduction about why we are interested in work with, some experimental, the result that we are getting so far, the conclusions, and some acknowledgement. First, we have to recognize that the vast reserve that we have in oil in Canada is regarded with bitumen and heavy oil, they are contain significantly more heteroatoms as nitrogen, sulfur, than conventional groups. Keep in mind that we have to really to understand that those heteroatoms are distributed in maltene, resin, and asphaltene fraction. The removal of those heteroatoms with the conventional technique is really a little bit difficult. Therefore, is a need for development support catalysts with higher capacity for HDN, HDA, HDO activity. So we have to move forward if we really want to convert those fractions. And the understanding from all those designs, the adsorption behavior over solid matter, we help the better design of catalysts or adsorbent. For us, or for everybody, it's important to recognize that if we want to convert any molecules, we need to understand how they can approach to any surface prior to any conversion. Keeping in mind that we have to, or our idea is try to remove those heteroatoms, let me give you some example where are those heteroatoms located. If we're thinking about heavy molecules like asphaltene or resin, let's see the picture, what they are. For example, this is a very well-known proposed structure for Athabasca asphaltene that has been reported April 92. So you can see here that we have heteroatoms in different formulas, sulfur, nitrogen, quinoline, we have oxygen. And then that's resemble, or that is a picture of the asphaltene. This small circle is regarded with the theoretical approach that the resin should be. So thinking about that's the complexity of those structures, we really need to understand the interaction of the behavior of those molecules in different solids. So it's important to recognize that detail regarding of the adsorption behavior of those molecules in macroporous solid particularly is a little bit limited. especially if we are looking for a study that those molecules are presented in organic solvent. You can find in the literature a lot of studies regarding of absorption, nitrogen, sulfur compounds, but they are just coming from the water solution. So we are really interested to try to understand from organic solvent. The second point is, if we really want to work with those heavy molecules like asphaltene, like resin, we have to understand or realize that the availability of those type of molecules is limited. Basically, because we have to do a separation step that they are time consuming and solvent expensive. So if really we need to do that, we have to invest time. So in our laboratory since 2 years ago, we are looking to try to different approach. Instead to work with those molecules directly, we want to get some modern molecules that they resemble the chemical or activity behavior, but they can be small one available that we can use easily and avoiding the separation method that I explained before. So if we can get simplified molecules that contain nitrogen, sulfur, and oxygen, and then we can perform some absorption experiment, we can get the contribution of those heteroatoms of the absorption, and that result can help us to understand first how they approach, and then we can just get an idea what is going to be the catalyst or solvent that we're going to use. Considering that we want to grade the heavy oil that we have in Alberta, we were selecting one of the solids that will be resemble the condition that we have in the reservoir. Basically, the material that we know that they are accessible, kaolin, aniline, they are most commonplace present in boiled sand. So if we can get material developed using those, so we can just get better approach that's going to happen, interaction of those molecules on the surface. Accomplish this, we can get better design of sorbent, of kaolin solid to treat those fractions. So here, our idea is, okay, we can approach this using a simple, discrete molecule. First one, we select to get some anilines, and the reason that we use aniline, there has been reported in some fraction from Athabasca crude, and the aniline that we got, they are really accessible to incorporate different substituents, and then we can study the incorporation of different heteroatoms present of the aniline function. Another type of molecule is just regarding with the aromaticity. So we can use modern molecules with different rings and different configuration, and we can study of detecting the effect of the aromaticity and their contribution to absorption. So today, basically, we are going to talk mostly about the result that we are getting so far with the aniline, and with a brief discussion about the aromatics and the methodology that we use to get those results. Basically, we prepare a solution of those nitrogen molecules in toluene with a concentration around 60 milligrams per liter. We prepare a kaolin pellets with those characteristics, and with a preparation that we can get for the emitter about 50 and 100 nanometers. We perform the static absorption at room temperature and pressure. The time was 12 hours residence time. However, if we're considering that we want to develop a real catalyst or absorbent for industrial scale, we need to understand the behavior at very short residence time. And the absorption we're following using UV technique. So here's a sample of the absorbent that we use, and this is a characteristic experiment. So we have the initial solution, at different given time we have the absorption result. Okay, so let's move to the result. Basically, we perform some kinetics, everything we're performing in the equipment. So you can see here, so we can get just the kinetic behavior of those molecules. Particularly, we select a branch molecule, aniline is going to be our base case. So we incorporate alkyl group in ortho para position oxygen group in the same position, sulfur group, and then we start to incorporate the aromatic ring. So we use the amino naphthalene, amino anthracene in order to evaluate the aromatic contribution. Keeping in mind that we got different substituent and we want to get effect on the absorption, we perform the kinetics, and for example, after the feeding and getting the kinetics constant, we can see here an interesting fact. Basically, this is the result of the constant that we got for aniline. And when we start to incorporate the oxygen group into the structure, you can see here that in both situations, we increase the absorption behavior. So it seems that the oxygen group is enhancing, participating on the absorption on this macroporous solid. If we start to analyze the effect of the sulfur, remember that in those fractions we have sulfur in high concentration. We start to see that the incorporation of the sulfur on those molecules decrease a little bit or considerably the kinetic absorption of those molecules. And if we start to see what happens when we incorporate the alkyl group even in ortho or para position, you can see that depending on the position, a reduction is observed. So at this stage, we can start to play around electronic effect, resonance effect, especially for the aromatic ring system, the resonance effects are operating. So we can see that it depends on the substituent that you have attached, you are going to get a different kinetic response. What happens if we start to introduce aromaticity of the system? So you can see here with one aromatic ring, we got kind of the kinetic of the constant is almost in the same. However, when we just add double rings, we start to see that increase of the kinetic of the absorption. It seems that this after 3 rings, the aromaticity or the aromatic contribution start to play. So with all of those results, we can start to see, okay, we have those groups can affect the absorption. Let's see what happened with the uptake of those compounds, in the macroporous surface. So you can see here we have the plot aniline compound sorbent expressed in milligram per gram sorbent, and then here we have all of the molecules. So basically, we have the oxygenate group, even in ortho or in para position, increased absorption. Therefore, we have an increased uptake. The sulfur contribution, you can see here how it looks like, and the aromaticity is especially important when we have free aromatic rings. And the literature is claiming the aromaticity as contribution to absorption different solid, so we are getting the same trend. Here is another way to try to understand better our results. So here we are just plotting the same aniline compound, the uptake expressed milligram per gram. So we have the uptake, and then we start to calculate the surface coverage. Why we are testing this? Basically because we want to understand if, or to get an idea, if the molecular size is participating of the absorption. So here we have some number that they are regarding the cross-sectional area. So as you can see here, we have the aniline, that is our base case, that is just a 12 angstrom. So you can see that particularly the oxygenate group, they have almost the double the size. We have the uptake. It seems that in this solid, the pore is big enough. Also, the absorption is not limited with the molecular size. Especially the case for the anthracene, that the size is 35 angstrom, is the biggest molecule, still the absorption is not limited. So at this point, we believe that those the heteroatom, also the aromaticity is contributing with the absorption. Here, those results were just presented a very short time, 120 minutes. We have the data regarding 690 minutes. And you can see here we have the same train, the oxygenate and the aromatic ring. They have the highest contribution. And of course, if we correlate with the same criteria about the cross-sectional area, you can see that still the oxygenate group, we are getting more absorption. In summary, if we want to really get idea about what happened in very short residence time in the absorption, we can say that when you incorporate the oxygen group on the aniline structure, in both cases, you are enhancing the absorption. Then, when you are adding sulfur molecule or sulfur atom on the structure, you can get a reduction of the absorption. The third, carbon, depend of the position, and particularly in ortho position, we can get a reduction. In this case, we can just claim the steric effect. And the aromatic contribution is more evident when we are getting two aromatic rings. The ongoing research, we want to just to understand what happened, as I mentioned before, with the aromatics. So here, we are using those kind of molecules with different substituents and different ring conformation. And the result that we are getting so far is kind of different trends. We have, for example, the pyridine as our next case. If we are incorporating like an alkyl group, we are getting the reduction of the exertion, is claiming for the steric effect. However, depend of if you are adding aniline group and you have this kind of combination of nitrogen in the ring and out of the ring, so we can get increased absorption. It seems that there are those who participate in the absorption of the surface. And you can see here that depending on the conformation of the ring, you can get different response. Still, we are just getting some result, and in the future, we are going just to get the full correlation. Finally, I just want to thank the Alberta Engineering Center for Institute Energy for financial work, the National Science Engineering Research Canada, CERT, Alberta Engineering Research Institute, and Schule School Engineering University of Calgary to allow to perform this job. All of you for attending this presentation. Thank you.
Questions?
So are you going to use this kaolin for catalyst material in the future, for hydrotreating catalyst?
Well,
or this is just absorbed?
Well, in the group we have different approach. We are studying, for example, kaolin is a cheap material. We know that is present in the reservoir. We can use like a sorbent or like a catalyst support for different reactions. For hydrotreating, we are not considering at this stage. We are considering for different reactions. One of my colleagues is going to talk later, the last one, talk about that. But basically, to try to produce hydrogen using this material as a support or catalyst support. Yes.
Can you say something about the kaolin? Is it an acidic material or what is it?
Well, the kaolin is normally sympathetic material. So, but we just is claiming that it's a neutral material. However, we are finding that it has some slight acidity. Even though that we were just trying to, we haven't measured yet the acidity. However, we did some indirect measurement to try to get some cracking reaction. The material didn't show any cracking activity or low cracking activity. That's meaning that the acidity is very low. However, it's one of the things that we want to determine is the acidity via using a printing assertion, something like that, to get a real number. So far, it's very low acid material.
So what are the sites then where these molecules, these basic molecules absorb if there are no acidic sites?
Well, we have here is acylic alumina. We have roasted acid site, we have Lewis acid site, we have the silicon, oxygen, hydride, and we have the aluminum site, so they can absorb on the surface through the roasting bonds. That answer your question? Yes.
Have you faced any difficulty in solubility of those nitrogen and aromatic compounds in solvent?
No, no, they are really highly soluble in toluene, all of those molecules. We have some solid like the aminoprazine that they dissolve perfectly in toluene solution.
Solvent toluene.
Toluene, yeah.
And have you checked the interaction between toluene and adsorbent?
Pardon me?
The interaction between toluene and the adsorbent?
No, I didn't understand the
Is there any interaction between the toluene itself?
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the point. Normally we make a blind experiment. I mean, we try to follow we just put the toluene and the kaolin, and then we perform this experiment so we can follow the band of the toluene, so we didn't see any interaction so far with the solid. I mean, that it was a question regarding, okay, this aromatic, so it can compete with the nitrogen, but the main effect when you are just following the bands is just the nitrogen band. They are just evolution, have an evolution in the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.